Okay, hopefully our attendees are starting to filter into the webinar now. I want to say a very, very warm welcome and a good morning, afternoon and evening to all of our speakers and attendees, wherever across the world you are joining us from now. For those of you that are well into your evenings, thank you for perhaps delaying your dinner slightly to join us for today's session. Today's event is the second in a series this week to mark the WTUN for UNESCO World Engineering Day. We're very excited about today's programme, having convened 5 expert speakers from across the WTUN's member universities to speak on the subject of advancing diversity and inclusion in STEM. The aim for today's session is to share examples of best practice projects, initiatives and work dedicated to increasing higher education participation in science, technology, engineering and maths by underrepresented groups from across the globally diverse membership of the World Technology Universities Network. My name's Denise, I'm the Development Manager at the WTUN and I'm supported today by my colleague Saffron. We'll be here throughout and we'll be hearing from the 5 speakers facilitated by our chair. First, a very brief little bit about the WTUN for those of you who are less familiar. The World Technology Universities Network is a global network of technology-focused universities. Our diverse membership is united by a commitment to the inclusive advancement of sustainable scientific and technology teaching and research, each demonstrating a commitment to truly equitable innovation for the benefit of people and place. WTUN members deliver teaching, research, innovation with direct benefit to people and society. They drive technical and social innovation and entrepreneurship, develop graduates who are global citizens and capable of being the leaders of the future, and working closely with local, national, and international government, industry, and other organisations, promote interdisciplinary cooperation and demonstrable impact. Please may I thank our chair and host, Professor Ami Agarwal, Head of the Centre of Open and Digital Education at Hindustan Institute of Technology and Science, and to HITS for leading this event today. I would also like to thank and welcome our speakers from WTUN member universities, Atlantic Technological University in Ireland, Hindustan Institute of Technology and Science, India, Suranaree University of Technology in Thailand, Thaksin University, also in Thailand, and the University of Bradford in the United Kingdom. Professor Agrawal will facilitate a discussion with our speakers at the end of our presentations today, and there will be short time available for the audience to ask questions after each speaker's presentation. Today's session is being recorded and will be available on the WTUN's website and YouTube channel to watch back. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our chair and host for today's session, Professor Ami Agrawal. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Denise. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and valued participants, it is with great pleasure and excitement that I welcome you to today's session on advancing diversity and inclusion in STEM, a pivotal conversation at the forefront of shaping our future. In an era defined by innovation and technological advancements, the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM as we popularly know them, stand as pillars of progress. Yet, as we marvel at the breakthroughs and marvels of modern science, it's crucial to acknowledge the critical need for diversity and inclusion within these domains. Today, we will discuss and recognize the importance of diversity to actively champion its advancement in STEM fields. Diversity goes beyond mere representation. It encompasses a spectrum of perspectives, experiences, and voices that enrich and strengthen the fabric of scientific inquiry with innovation. As we embark on this journey together, let us reflect on the transformative power of inclusion. It's about fostering environments where every individual, regardless of background, gender, ethnicity, or identity, feels valued, respected, and empowered to contribute with their unique talents and insights. Our session today is a call to action, a call to break down barriers, challenge biases, and cultivate inclusive cultures within STEM organizations and institutions. By embracing diversity, we not only unlock untapped potential, but also drive greater creativity, collaboration, and excellence in our collective pursuit of knowledge and discovery. For this session today, I have some eminent personalities from academia who feel strongly about the diversity and inclusion in STEM. The first speaker of the day is Dr. S. N. Sridhara, Vice-Chancellor, Hindustan Institute of Technology and Science. He is an academician with an in-depth knowledge and profound skill set in teaching pedagogy, research, education, and administration. Dr. Sridhara obtained his bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Bangalore University and master's and PhD in aerospace engineering from the renowned Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Welcome, sir. Next
Thank
on the
you.
panel is Dr. Aroonsri. I'm sorry, doctor, your second name is too difficult for me to pronounce. I would rather not pronounce than pronouncing it wrong. So next on the panel is Dr. Aroonsri, Head of the Office of Global Engagement, Institute of Engineering, Suranaree University of Technology, Thailand. She received her bachelor's degree in petrochemical technology from King Monkut's Institute of Technology, Ladkerberg. She further pursued her academic journey in the United States, earning both her master's and doctoral degrees in chemical engineering from the University of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Welcome, Dr. Aroonsri. Next is Dr. Anushree Dwivedi, a lecturer in Mechanical and Industrial Engineering Department, Atlantic Technological University, Ireland. Dr. Aroonsri Dwivedi is a highly accomplished scientist and engineer, currently serving as a lecturer and researcher in the Department of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering at ATU Galway. Welcome, Dr. Aroonsri. Welcome, Dr. Anushree. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
The next speaker of the day is Mr. Seyed Reza Moosavi Jafari, lecturer, Faculty of Fine and Applied Arts, Thaksin University, Thailand. Welcome, Mr. Seyed. And the last speaker of the day is Mr. James Machell, STEM Curriculum Development Manager, Office of the Vice-Chancellor, University of Bradford. Welcome, Mr. James. Together, we have the power to create a more inclusive and equitable future for all aspiring scientists, engineers, and innovators. As we delve into the rich tapestry of ideas and insights that will emerge today, I encourage each one of the participants to actively engage, listen with an open mind, and share your questions for each speaker. We will have a dedicated question and answer slot. For it is through our collective efforts and shared commitment that we will truly advance diversity and inclusion in STEM, paving the way for a brighter, more inclusive future for generations to come. I now welcome Dr. S. N. Sridhara to present.
Thank you very much, Professor Ami Agarwal. Please share my PPT.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I'm doing that. Is the screen visible to you, sir?
Yeah, you can go to the first slide. Yeah, thank you very
Sure.
much, and thanks to WTUN for giving us an opportunity to speak about advancing diversity and inclusion in STEM, and on the day of World Engineering Day 2024. Basically, if I just look at what is diversity and inclusion, I just made an effort to put it in the words, something like what I have shown in the slide here. World is full of diversity in terms of human races, geographical boundaries, gender, culture, and many more. And when I look at the inclusion, it refers to equal treatment to all human beings, irrespective of their belongingness to any of these diversions mentioned. And because of these diversions, we will be having a lot of the parity in terms of treatment and opportunities. So let us discuss a few things a little more. Next slide, please.
Yes, sir, I've done that.
So when you look at the inclusivity, it's just an effort to bring all humans under the same umbrella of equal opportunities and rights. The stigma of treating the people with different strata would actually stem from the background of individuals raising. And because of this background, we always, feel that we belong to a certain race or certain, background, etc., so on. So unless the perception in the society changes, the dream of, inclusion would be not fulfilled at all. Next, please. Yeah, inclusivity.
No, sir.
Now, if you next, please. Next. Yeah. Now, this slide, if you try to look at, I'm going to actually give some sort of statistics. These are the statistics which I got from Government Agency of Government of India called AISHE. So that is All India Survey on Higher Education. This is a compulsory survey that Government of India does it mandatorily. And if you try to look at the different types of, the systems here and also how exactly these goes, there are x-axis and y-axis along which we are showing. Just a minute. Yeah, if you try to look at the primary education, the elementary education, upper primary, and secondary, that is 14 to 15 years, and higher secondary is shown here. And the light blue is basically the representing male, and the dark blue is representing female. So what do we see here? I think India has come a little forward. Basically, the education is being reached to all the people at the primary education from 6 to 10, almost 95%. And the girls are also actually, enrolling quickly at almost the same range. And the movement from 10 years onwards to elementary 6 to 13 years is also good. And the parity is not much between the girl students and as well as the boy students. But where do we find the difference basically in the higher education? As you can see in the last paragraph or the last graphs there, 67.7% is actually enrolling from the male fraternity, whereas 62.6% will be enrolling from the female fraternity. So the difference is quite visible in this range. Next, please. Yeah, this shows basically the gender ratio in higher education. I have taken the data again from the ASHRAE, that is the government data which we actually got from Government of India. If you look at the last one, that is all category, and all category you have 28.3, and SC category, SC refers to basically scheduled caste, and ST refers to scheduled tribe. Why do we actually show this scheduled caste and scheduled tribe in India is basically that these are the tribes which are considered to be slightly lagging behind. So that is why we are showing up these things. So if you try to look at all category and the type of, the registration happens in the gender ratio is about 28.3%, whereas in that case of other one is 28.4, that is the total. And if you like to look at the female on the top, basically 28.5, showing that the female, enrollment ratio is much better, maybe marginally compared to, the male category. Next, please. So the same thing is shown here again. So the gross enrollment ratio of the both genders is 28.4, whereas the female gender is about 28.5, and other backward classes, including SC and ST, is about 20%. Next, please. Now, this is another interesting thing. These are the social group-wise distribution of total enrollment. If you try to look at OBC, OBC basically refers to other backward category. So that is actually, most of them are 50% to 50% between male and female. Those numbers, what it shows, that it is almost like 50% with the OBC, whereas in ST, that is scheduled tribe, I think the male is slightly lesser, and you find an upper hand from the female registration. And SC category, it is almost 50%, and all categories almost 50%. So this is the range what actually the Government of India has, collected as the total data. Next, please. Now, when I come to the higher education, that is in science, so gender ratio in the science, you find that the enrollment overall, this is overall enrollment because now we are speaking about or talking about science and STEM. So the science is only about 14.8%, the commerce is about 13.3%, and arts is about 34.2%, and engineering is about 11.8%. Probably we'll discuss all this in detail as we move forward, but quickly I'll tell you that the engineering is attracting only about 11.8% owing to many reasons. Probably the fees is a little higher, and also not many institutions are offering engineering college, engineering courses compared to other courses. And what I find is predominantly the arts subjects or the arts courses are predominantly be preferred by many. Find that many arts
Are we still connected? I cannot listen anything.
I can still hear, but for me, Dr. Sridhara just froze and then he's vanished and his screen stopped sharing.
Oh, okay. Maybe some internet issue or something. You want me to call him and check?
I am
Yes.
here.
Oh,
Okay, sir.
I am
Okay.
here.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Please
We
make the
couldn't hear.
presentation.
Yeah, we couldn't hear you.
So make the presentation, please.
Asha, so again, I have to present. I mean, I could see the presentation. Wait, I'll stop sharing and reshare it.
Sorry for the technical delay. I think,
no, it's no problem.
yeah, go to slide number 10.
Yes, sir.
10,
I can
Is it
see
please.
that
okay?
now.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So this is the enrollment ratio in the science. I was speaking about it. I don't know how much of that was actually audible. And the commerce is about 13.3%, and arts is about 34.2%. Engineering is about 11.8%. And these ratios, which are shown, in detail here, 34.2% is arts completely, and that shows that the arts is actually the major type of subject, or which is being taken by most of the gender, including both gents and also the boys and girls. We'll go to the next slide, please.
Yes, sir.
So the discipline-wise, the total enrollment in postgraduate, if I try to look at the postgraduate, the social science actually peaks, that is the highest, and the last one is basically the engineering and technology, the last one. And last but one is basically IT and computer. So all other courses are shown here from right to left, starting from social science, which is the highest, and the science courses at the PG is also higher. This is actually in controversy to, or in the opposition to what we found in UG. In PG, that is in the postgraduate, we find the science programs are picking up. Next, please.
Yes, sir.
Now, when I look at the PhD program, again, another paradigm shift is seen here. You find that the maximum registration comes in PhD from the engineering and technology, followed by science. And social sciences actually takes a third seat here. Now, there are many reasons why actually there is a lot of demand for PhD in engineering and technology in India. That's basically because in engineering technology, the reward or the salary for the engineering teachers are higher, and it's mandatory that they should have PhD degree, and therefore most of them will be registering for PhD. Whereas in other sciences, actually it is not so mandatory, so you find that the registrations are little lower. Now, this again shows basically at higher education in the PhD for engineering and technology and science actually goes much higher compared to the other courses. Next, please. Now, this actually shows gender ratio in science and engineering and technology in higher education. So the first figure is basically the level-wise and gender-wise enrollment in STEM courses, that is UG. So when you look at UG, you find that the male and female, there is a small difference here. And in terms of, it's a large difference. And you find that these differences in engineering and technology, if you try to look at male, is preferred mostly by the male students, whereas a female student actually prefer the science programs. And when it comes to the PG, we find that again, the male is on the upper end, whereas the female is at the lower end in compared to the engineering and technology. But we find that the science programs actually, are very, very high compared to those of UG programs. This is from the first figure. The second figure, 19B, which I'm showing here, this is also from Aisha data 2021. You find the enrollment in the STEM course, that is for PhD and MPhil. So let us look at the PhD. You find for the PhD, the registration by the male outnumbers that from the female, both in engineering and technology. And I find, as I said earlier, the registration for PhD in engineering is much higher compared to the registration of that in the science programs. Next, please. This is another interesting graph here, which says gender-wise enrollment distribution in different types of standalone institutions. If I look at standalone institutions, and This brown actually is a female range, which is actually female number of students which are registering. And you find especially the teacher training, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth bar. You can see in the teacher training and nursing, we find the majority of the female students coming and registering here. Whereas in the other one, we find basically the male students are coming through, especially if you try to look at hotel management, the first one, and also the last, the polytechnic. There's a male majority as we observe from here. These are some of the glimpses which I wanted to show you as the the total number of, the stages that what we have in India. As a summary, I could say that a few courses in India are, preferred by female members, and a few of them are preferred by basically the male members. Now, let me also try to explain what initiatives Hindustan Institute of Technology and Science has taken towards educating girl students to take STEM programs. So we actually conduct what is called School Connect programs. The School Connect program is basically throughout the year we will be conducting, and twice a year we conduct also what is called Career Campus Guidance Program. If you try to look at what is the School Connect program, our teachers and officials actually they go to the schools and they conduct awareness programs in the form of storytelling, quiz, presentation, and active learning exercises. Whereas in the career campus, we actually invite all the students and we make an open house in our campus here, where we have more than 105 laboratories and a lot of space for them to go through many of those the tableaus, etc. And when we invite all the students here, they get it something like a science fest. They come here, they participate. This one type of awareness program that we are conducting. Next slide, please. Some of these glimpses you can see here. The first glimpse we actually participated. I mean, the students have come to our campus, and this campus is basically the workshop or the training workshop of Royal Enfield that we have actually announced. And these students are coming to the Royal Enfield and they're getting the understanding of how the things are going in the Royal Enfield, etc., and so on. And the next one is basically another program where our students have gone to laboratories, and in the laboratory they're actually seeing how the things are being conducted, the experiments are conducted, etc., and so on. Many of our faculty will be explaining the instruments as well as the procedures, etc., so on. Next photograph, please. On the left side, what you see here, we are reaching out the some of the exhibitions outside, and then we try to educate them regarding the STEM education, especially for the girl students. The right one actually shows, again, we have invited the school children here, and we are going through this particular class, wherein our teacher will be explaining many of issues related to the science programs, etc., so on. Next, please. There's another cluster of programs, photographs, which shows how the students are actually participating in our career campus and other programs. And you see most of them are basically, more and more girl students are attracted towards these types of programs, and they are getting the first-hand information. These school children, as actually they wanted to enter into the higher education, and they will definitely look for getting into the STEM program. This is one successful story that we are actually representing from our end. Next, please. In the next one, you can see how the students are lined up and then coming and then taking a walk across the campus. The second diagram or the second photograph is regarding the program with the space. And the third one is actually another experiment which is being conducted, and so on. So all the students get firsthand, the experience. Even actually they are allowed or permitted to operate on engines, etc., so on. That creates a lot of interest in them. Next, please. So this is one of the drone training program as well as the awareness program that we are giving. And these are actually the registration. So you can see a lot of people coming from villages, nearby villages, and then trying to get the information regarding, the science programs, etc., so on. And next, please. So the probable reason for gender inequality in the STEM education, basically, if you try to look at, these are the one which I noted from my end. The lack of awareness and the family background, sometimes the affordability, especially at higher education level. Improper schooling is another problem. That means improper schooling refers to what I'm referring to here. The students actually who are in the remote villages may not have proper schools there, so the information flow will be very poor. Then we have non-availability of institutions in remote areas. and also the immediate job requirement. Many of the family actually want their children to get employed immediately, so they may not be going for higher studies at all. And also, many a time they'll be settling with a course and job that suit family caring while in career, especially for the female members. Next, please. So the probable reason for gender inequality, I'm just, how do we actually overcome? I think there's an error there. The actions that what we can take is we can actually bring awareness through all means, including social media. We can provide special scholarship for the tuition fee and hostel. We can erase availability of ease of availability of education loan, and strengthening the schools with the training to school teachers, frequent outing programs for students to visit science activity centers, etc. And we should also develop institutions in the remote areas, and we shall provide reservation in the jobs as such. So in summary, I would say that in India, we do not have gender inequality, especially at primary education or so. But as they move forward, because of so many problems, including the social and etc., we find the small disparity over there, and these can be overcome with this. With that, I thank WTUN and also Professor Ami for coordinating with this. Thank you so much.
So just 1 minute before I call Dr. Aroonsri, I have a question for you. STEM seems to be now expanding to STEAM with the inclusion of arts in STEM domain. What is your perception of diversity and inclusion in context of STEAM?
See, basically today's topic is only on the STEM, but I would also talk about STEAM, that is science, technology, engineering, arts, and management. Nowadays, the higher education programs are actually merging together. There are no boundaries at all. See, for example, if I take design programs, these design programs are coupled with engineering knowledge also taken together, and therefore we require both sides of our brain to be developed to look at the engineering, imagination, etc., so on. So therefore, actually, the STEAM also matters a lot. And Government of India at present, they have come out with a new education policy, that is NEP, National Education Policy, according to which they are actually now giving importance for the STEAM rather than STEM alone. So far, for about 70 years, we worked for popularizing STEM. Now we'll be looking for STEAM as such. So that therefore, the society will be well balanced. This is from me, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. I now call upon Dr. Aroonsri.
Thank you. Okay, so good evening from Thailand, and I'm Aroonsri Nuchitprasittichai. So today I'm going to share the information about the topic of SUT promote diversity and inclusion in STEM.
Apologies for interrupting, Doctor. Your microphone seems to be a little muffled. It's a little unclear. Couldn't hear you so well.
If I talk like this, is it better?
Yes, hear you very clearly.
Yes,
yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Apologies.
That's okay. Thank you. So for the outline of this presentation here, so the presentation will start with brief introduction of Suranaree University of Technology, and then it will follow with two projects that relate to STEM. The first one is Chevron Enjoy Science project, and the other one is SUT Engineering High School Outreach project. And the presentation will end up with the conclusion. So for Suranaree University of Technology is located in Nakhon Ratchasima province, Thailand, and it has been established since 1990. And the university is specialized in science and technology in the term of engineering program. So this is all the engineering program we have. It's totally of 25 programs. So within this 25 program, we have 16 program. That is the full-time program. That is teach in Thai. And the other 3 program in international program. And the other 6 are in evening or weekend program. So let me move to the project that we are going to talk about today. So the first one is Chevron Enjoy Science Project. So for this project here, Suranaree University of Technology, or in short SUT, signed MOU with Chevron Thailand Exploration and Production Limited in 2017. And we received the funding from Chevron to Kenan Foundation Asia from 2017 until 2020 to launch this project. The main objective of this project is to establish Suranaree Vocational Education and Training Center, or we call in short TVET Hub University Suranaree. So this is the TVET Hub Suranaree here, and this is the room that we use for the training. And also in this project, the university serves as the main coordinator and hub for developing the quality of technical and vocational education in the field of microelectronics, and also support the implementation of the STEM curriculum for vocation profession. So we call STEM for TVET. The STEM for TVET also include the learning equipment, teaching material, and teacher competency development training, so as well as academic consultation to improve the teaching method and vocational college. And for the objective of the project, so there are 3 objectives. The first one is to enhance the quality of STEM education. The second one is to develop technical manpower to meet the need of the labor market. The third one is to foster awareness, interest, and inspiration for learning in STEM field. And for the overall of this project here, I have summarized the tasks that we have done into 6 main tasks. The first one is the collaborating with private company to develop the instructional media for 2 courses. The first one is computer-aided electrical circuit design, and the other course is electrical system design course. And for second task, to gather the data and design mechatronic engineering course, and also design the laboratory to meet industry standard and requirement. The third task of the hub is to enhance the efficiency for our network technical college. So for our hub, we have the network, our technical college here. And the fourth task is to provide training for teaching staff for our network. And the fifth task is to host the engineering robotic camp and also the competition. And the last one, so we would like to visit and observe our network to make sure that they are in good teaching practice. And also we would like to support them in teaching management and development also. And the show an example of the activity that we have done during our project. So like the first photograph here, so this two here is when our hub team and also the teacher from the school met with the company. So for this one, we talked to the company to consult on the developing teaching media for the electronic course. And for this photograph here, so our team went to see the college, the teacher in the college, and then we took the data and we ask them information about the internship so that we can plan and enhance the internship for the student. And for this photograph here, we organize a seminar on the developing electronic teaching material for the technical college in our network. So we have the representative from 4 colleges attend the seminar here. And for this photograph, or the photograph here, summarize all the training that we offer to the teaching staff. So we have the training for them in the topic of fundamental concept of programming. So using Arduino programming language. And the other training is utilizing the Internet of Things. And the last training is safety and environmental readiness for technicians in Industry 4.0. So for all the training here, we have the representative from around 11 colleges attend the training. So after they got the training, they will get back to the college and teach the student in the college. And we also hold a camp. So we call the engineering mechatronic camp. So for this camp, we organize the camp to enhance the skill of the student in building autonomous robot by utilizing the Internet of Things. And additionally, we also have the competition for the creation of autonomous robot also. And the competition and the camp here was organized every year for the total of 3 years. And we have the student participants are all from 20 colleges to attend the camp and also the competition. And for this slide here is the training that we have for the teacher in the college. So we have the training for 2 courses. One is industrial robotics, and the other one is basic robot control. And other than having the training, we also donate the robot here that show in the photograph here to each school for them to have the class in the industrial robotics. And so we donate to allow 12 colleges that they come for the training. And lastly, after we have the training and we have the camp and the teacher go back to the school and teach the student, we also visit the college and we observe and monitoring the progress in the STEM teaching. Okay, so that is all for the activity of the first project about the Chevron Science project. And now we are going to move to another project that we just initiated this project last year. So for this project, we call the SUT Engineering High School Outreach Project. So we try to focus on the underrepresented. The group that we focus are the students in remote areas. So since 2023, the Institute of Engineering has dedicated to bridging the gap in engineering education for high school students. So we launched the SUT Engineering High School Outreach Project. The primary objective of this project is to provide the preliminary exposure to the engineering education opportunity for high school students in remote areas. Because we have concern that maybe if they want to get into the engineering, we it's better that they know some background of the engineering in the major that they are interested. So through this project here, we have the activity that students can learn some engineering from the activity. So what we have done for this project is we hold the event, the event, and the place that we have the event is the school in that remote area. So we hold the event in one school, and the student in that area can apply for the event also, and it is free for the student. So this event can be 1 day or half day activity. So, and what we done is we divide the student into a group, at most 30 students per group. So each group is rotated to each engineering station until they visit all the station. So what we have done in that station, so in the station, we learn them some basic of engineering, and also we have the workshop for them to have hands-on experience. And we have 5 stations, which are civil engineering, mechanical and aeronautical engineering, artificial intelligence, electronic, and robotics. And so for each station, student will have the hands-on experience, right? In this slide here. So the slide show for this photograph here, these two are in the civil engineering station. So for this civil engineering station, students have experience and they have workshop to do the surveying technique here. And for the next station is mechanical and aeronautical engineering. So you see that we have the lecturer here. The lecturer teach them the basic of drone and also demonstrate how to control the drone. And for this station here is the artificial intelligence station. So the teacher will teach them the basic of artificial intelligence and also ask them to apply the AI to solve image recognition problem. And the next station is the electronic station. So for this station, students will have the experience in workshop to design the circuit for the controlling the real world device. And the last station here is the robotics station. In this station, students really enjoy a lot. So they learn the coding to control the robot. And since 2023, so for our project here, we are proud that right now we have total of 1,038 high school students from the remote area that participate in our project. So as we move forward, we remain committed to expanding the reach of our outreach program and inspiring more high school students in the remote area to gain knowledge in engineering. And this project is still continuing until for this year and also next year also. So from the overall action here, it can confirm that SUT is committed to fostering inclusivity and diversity within STEM education. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Aroonsri. It was wonderful having your presentation, seeing the different activities that Suranaree University is doing. I just have, a quick curiosity. Out of these STEM subjects, you have been doing such a great work where you are involving school children, and you are training the trainer kind of program also you have, and you are giving them live exposure to STEM subjects. How do you feel that if we include arts in this and make it STEAM instead of STEM, how better inclusive or diversified the programs will become. The same two programs I'm talking, which we have considered here.
Yeah, I think if you include the STEAM, it's good also that the student can have more experience. And so for this event or the station that we are working right now, actually we ask each department or each major if they have the cost for the student to join the camp. So if we would like to have the STEAM, we need to manage, and also we need to ask some major that they can customize the course for the student
Right.
to learn more, to have experience. Yeah, but I
Right.
think it's possible to do that.
So do you foresee Suranaree University expanding this and including arts in these programs, or they will create something separate for STEAM?
For this one, I think we will need to create a specific one.
Okay.
For this.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Next on the line is Dr. Anushree Dwivedi.
Hello.
Welcome, Dr. Anushree.
Thank you, Dr. Agarwal. So nice to be here. I'm just going to share my slides. Please let me know if you can see them.
Sure.
Are my slides?
Yes, we can see.
visible?
Yes, we can see that.
Okay, great. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in different parts of the world. It's an absolute pleasure and a privilege to join you all today on this occasion. Thank you, WTUN, for this opportunity to speak on this topic. I'm a strong supporter of women in STEM, and today I'll be talking about empowering women and overcoming obstacles. I'm an engineer and a scientist myself. I'm placed in Atlantic Technological University. And yeah, let's begin. So when we talk about empowering women, when this comes to my mind, from what we used to see in the past, have we really empowered women today or not? I remember a time when the females who had to study STEM subjects like physics had to go to all boys college, which was not easy. It is difficult. And now we have the opportunity, but still the gap still exists. So if we look at that women have been historically underrepresented in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields all over the world. It's not just one part. And as you can see in this graph here, there is still a huge gender gap in specific subjects, as you can see, maths, computer sciences, engineering, and technology between males and females. According to UNESCO, female students account for only 35% of the total number of students in STEM-related subjects in higher education in the world. This attrition rate of females is particularly high during their studies, and then later on in their job search, and even in their careers, which results in serious underrepresentation of women in STEM fields. So that means there's clearly a need to understand the causes for this imbalance between the two genders and overcome the identified obstacles. Now, let me shed light on some more stats that I came across. And this is from 2016 to 22. On the left graph, you can see percentage of women in STEM workforce, very low. And also in engineering profession, it's quite low. So although we are living in the 21st century, there is still a huge gap in these STEM-related subjects. So let's see what some of those causes are that lead to these statistics and figures and this situation. So stereotype threat is one of the most cited factors that causes females not to take up STEM fields. This occurs when a person is concerned about being judged or treated negatively because of a negative stereotype about her group. And studies have shown that parents and teachers can transmit negative stereotype about women's mathematical abilities to girls, and therefore undermining their performance and interest in STEM fields. Now, in UK, we have seen some stats where girls outperform the boys in STEM subjects with higher school grades. And we have also seen in previous slides shown by Dr. Sridhara that even in India, the ratio of girls to boys in primary and senior secondary school was quite even. But this advantage is not transferred to the workforce when it comes to STEM in traditionally male-dominated fields. And girls are becoming more prone to stereotype, which hinders them from succeeding. Based on gender stereotype typical attributes, where young women do break the gender jobs, but they're concerned about how they will be treated in a male-dominated field. And I myself, coming from a STEM background, I can still remember when I was going to the very first day in my engineering class. It was all full with males, and I was hesitant to walk into a room full of 300 boys, and there were hardly any girls. So it is not that easy. And I can certainly say that there is a bit of a struggle initially, and we do need to make sure that it improves. The other reason is belonging or uncertainty. In psychology, belonging is described as fundamental human motivation that is essential to individual well-being. The sense of belonging is a result of students' sense of social support, on-campus feeling of connectedness, or the sense of being cared, being accepted, respected, and valued, and being important to the group. In other words, belonging means being accepted for who you are. Doesn't matter what gender you are, being included, being supported, and being respected by your peers and by the institution as a whole. So it's not responsibility of just one person, it's the responsibility of everyone in the institute as a whole to make everyone inclusive. Another significant contributor to belonging is support of teaching from the faculty, as well as peer-to-peer relationship, which can be very, very crucial and is often not considered important. Best students who, whatsoever reason, believe they're academically incapable would say will find it extremely difficult to feel a sense of belonging. And within higher education, belonging uncertainty is a perception that people, where they think that people like me don't belong here. Such students, particularly women, experience a lower sense of belonging. They express disinterest in their major course of study and eventually change their esteem of education. And I have myself noticed or seen in my past few years or in STEM field that a lot of females drop out in their STEM education because one of these reasons, they feel they are not capable enough, or they have other jobs that take priority over this. So this is a major issue still that exists. Other major influencing factors include the family. Family members, such as parents and peers, significantly influence girls' STEM interest in STEM and whether they shall pursue STEM-related careers in the future. So how your family values are, how people around you are nurturing you, treating you, teaching you, affects your choices. Parents who hold gender perceptions will constantly regulate their children's behavior to conform to popular street stereotypes. And parents' differentiated treatment and support for boys and girls would lead to children's perception of gender and STEM ability, which further leads to girls straying away from STEM fields. So it's been seen that in certain societies, a female might not be given certain opportunities, whereas a male might be. So those gaps can lead to females not pursuing career in STEM. And also influencing factors at school level, such as teachers, teaching strategies, curriculum, and textbooks have also shown to influence girls' interest in STEM. After considering family, major influencing factors could be, one of them is teachers. Teachers are important socializing agents who promote positive beliefs towards STEM fields and their quality and dedication to positively associated with motivating students to STEM subjects. Female teachers serve as role model for girls and break the stereotypes that males have innate ability in certain areas. Female teachers, therefore, can have a positive impact on girls' STEM education. And the way male and female roles are represented in textbook can also significantly, directly or indirectly convey differences in STEM competencies to students by further reinforcing the gender stereotypes and discouraging girls from pursuing STEM careers. So all these things have a cumulative effect on children or girls specifically when they're studying at a young age. Next, we have informal teaching. Now, this could also increase students' interest in STEM, and this compared with formal learning outside the classroom, such as participation of students or children in STEM competition and camps, and visit to national technology museums and galleries has been shown to be a strong contributor towards their learning. Studies have shown that students who participate in summer STEM programs are 1.5 times more likely to pursue STEM careers in future. So this is another important thing to note. However, compared with girls, boys are given more opportunities for informal activities and receive more explanations from their parents. That has been observed. Research has also shown that informal activities where female students interact with female STEM experts significantly improve girls' academic performance in STEM and mitigate gender stereotypes. There is obviously a need for equal access to STEM-related activities at home and in school, influencing factors at societal levels. Now let's see, okay, family is important, school is important, and what, how we are, things around us are important, but let's discuss what are the things at societal level that affects STEM education. Social, cultural norms influence girls' perception of self-efficacy, social roles, and aspirations for career and life. Society has different role expectations for men and women, and about every country's social culture traditions assume that women's families' responsibility should take precedence over their career choices. STEM has suggested that reduced presence of females in STEM is caused by socio-cultural factors rather than biological factors. So that's some of the major factors from societal level that have shown major influence on STEM education for girls. Next, we have influence of media. Now, gender stereotypes portrayed in media are easily internalized with both girls and adults affect the way they view themselves and others. Media has an important influence on adolescents' perceptions of scientists. So what children see in media, what students see in media can influence them quite a lot. Then growth of perceptions of self-competence and interest in STEM careers are strongly influenced by gender stereotypes in the media as well. So these are some main factors here. Let's look at some more. Especially the image of STEM professionals portrayed by the media has great impact on adolescent girls because they are a critical period of identity and choices. Now, I would like to use an example of India's nationwide telecast of space mission of to the moon, which was called Chandrayaan, making a soft landing on the moon. The media showcased scientists huddled at the Space Center, and the fact that there were at least 50% females was incredible. This was a great motivator for girls in India to pursue STEM careers, as it was witnessed at a larger number of applicants. So that was one example that I found very interesting. Now, current trends in STEM subjects. So the number of women accepted in full-time STEM undergraduate courses has increased significantly by 50% from 2011 to 2020, which is an improvement. But is that enough? The number of female pupils at levels in UK who studied STEM subjects was 32 compared to 59 male pupils in the university. In engineering and technology, only 20% of all engineers are females. So there is a gap. And furthermore, females represent 16% of the graduates in engineering and 10% of UK's engineering professionals. And a lot more needs to be done to break the stereotypes and make STEM subjects and careers more attractive to female students at college and university level. So now I would like to highlight a few things that I have done in the past few years. So in my early career, I was working in industry, and I had collaborated with university and came up with industry Vice-STEM program, where as part of this program, students were given scholarships. So a lot of females who were also doing part-time jobs to support their fees were given scholarships so they could concentrate on studies. They were given mentorship from a person in industry, because some female students wouldn't have anyone in their family who has ever studied a STEM subject. So for them, having a mentor meant a lot. They were also provided with company visit, where they could visit the companies and see what a career in STEM would look like. And several workshops were organized as part of this program. So this program was successfully launched, and as part of that program, 10 girls were awarded, and 10 extra students were all given mentorship, company visit, and workshop. This program has been very beneficial for the students, especially who were struggling in their careers in the university. And then when these students had completed the program, we did a quick survey. So we did a survey at the beginning of the program, and then we did a survey at the end of the program. And we found that there was a significant increase in their industry knowledge. And then we also did a survey on their ability to plan prospective career. It also saw a dramatic, significant increase in their ability to plan prospective careers. So it all looked very positive. And I would like to show some quotes from the students who were participants, that this program developed confidence and helped the student in her industry knowledge. And one student said she didn't have a clue of what she would do after college, but now she has a clear understanding where she wants to develop her career. So this work has now been accepted for publication, will soon be published, and will be available to the general public soon. And then this was captured in the newspaper of the successful launch of this program, which showcased 3 of the total number of students that was selected for the program. They were recognized, they were talked about in their families, they were given awards. So that was really a very proud feeling for the students and all their families, and we hope would encourage more students in future to take up STEM subjects. Next step is there is obviously a huge gap in STEM force workers, and all people are equal, and females should have equal opportunities, and inclusion of females has shown to unlock greater development potential and reduce bias in knowledge and solutions for long-term societal perspective. And gender equality will ensure that everyone has equal access to skills and opportunity. So in the end, I would like to conclude by saying that there's a popular quote that says, behind a successful man, there is a woman, but behind every successful woman, there is a family who trusted her. And particularly for myself, I think you can also say the it's important not women to support women, but also men to support women. And for me, it was my father who supported me, then my brother, and then my husband. So these are important pillars in your life. And if you have your support, sky's the limit. And empowering women is a necessity of the 21st century in the technology of artificial intelligence, quantum computing, machine learning. It is incumbent on each one of us to empower women with STEM knowledge and to make the next generation future ready. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Special thanks to Mrs. Maria, my mother-in-law, who helped me with this presentation today. And yeah, I'm happy to take any questions. Sorry, you're Dr. Amy, you're muted.
I'm sorry. Very well concluded, Dr. Anushree. Your talk actually reminded me when I was in college and I wanted to study physics. The only thing why I could not study was because for physics classes, I had to go to a boys' college.
Oh, wow.
Whereas I was studying in a girls' college, and way back in '85, my parents didn't feel it safe, and maybe even, as you mentioned, even I would have felt awkward.
Yes.
But yes, we females, whatever the age group, like you must have gone to the college way later than I went, but still I could see that the circumstances were still similar.
Sure.
Though I mean, we have taken a leap, and we have come out in these STEM subjects, but then how many of the girls are doing it? Again, my question to you will be like, STEM subjects are predominantly considered as male subjects, especially the engineering domain, right? Till
Sure.
now, it is considered.
Yeah.
Will including arts to STEM change the scenario for women?
Thank you for your question, and thank you for your comments. Now, we are talking about diversity and inclusion, and including arts. Now, in arts, we see there's a gender imbalance again, where
Yes.
there is a stereotype that arts is just for females and not for males. But I think it should be included, but it will take time. And I think now these days the trend is moving. Now, what females used to do in the past, it's what females couldn't do in the past. Now they are doing. They are on the moon. The sky's the limit. There's no end to what they can do. But on the other side, I think I'm also observing that males are also changing. Like, for example, I wouldn't have seen any male or a boy interested in arts or history or maybe cake baking course or cooking or home science. It was traditionally looked down upon as, but now I think it's changing, but it will take time. And including it in STEM, maybe we might address it in a separate umbrella. So, but again, I think if we are talking about diversity and inclusion, of course, if there's a gender gap in this field, there is a gender gap there as well. And if we are talking on the bigger umbrella term, yes, we should. And I think we can, our strategies would be different. The way
Right.
The including men in arts would be different. A strategy including females in engineering or STEM fields would be a different strategy. But again, they all come under the same bigger umbrella term. And I would like to see that in future, no careers and no genders, no jobs should be defined by genders. And hopefully this will become history soon.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Anushree. Well, carrying on to that, statement that arts is predominantly a female, domain. Next, I have is Mr. Seyed Reza Moosavi Jafari, who's a lecturer in fine and applied arts. Over to you, Doctor.
Hello. Good evening from Thailand. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Okay. Well, my background as a designer, it goes back to environmental design and graphic design. So I was mainly interested in bringing design into where people are living. So one of the main domains would be considered as the architecture and urban design, where the human factor plays a key role in that. In fact, where there is a built environment, despite the calculations and all the technical factors, the final and crucial prominent factor would be the facilitation of users or people or pedestrians to navigate safe and sound inside the built environment. It could be residential, or it could be a shopping mall, it could be a library, it could be a hospital, parking lot, or an airport. So when it comes to airports, it's actually the beginning of my research story, which I had a research on wayfinding and signage systems in the airports. And especially in international airports, you have a major built environment that facilitation of people's users or pedestrians is a major fact. Particularly, one of the important factors would be the international characteristics of the users from different continents, countries, cultural background, languages, expectations, experience. They come all in under one roof. And the built environment management is supposed to provide service to all these people with different characteristics. So that becomes a very important matter. So the ICAO, as you know, the International Aviation Organization, came up with a particular annex, which is particularly Annex number 16, which is environmental protection and satisfaction of the passengers in an airport, which explains about how important is the satisfaction of the passengers to have a good experience in a built environment, such as an international airport. Now, going back to the fact that I explained that there are so many people with different backgrounds, one of the important thing is that when you design or you provide, as you said, well, I don't consider art and design the same thing, but if we consider them the same thing, when you provide a group of information in an art form or a design form, are people having the same understanding from that message and from those signs, from those symbols, from those arrow keys? Are they having the same understanding? And that's why it led me to have more research about the culture and culture dimensions. So it opened a new window for me. Here, I need to explain a short background of the person who gave me a key role to do this research and bring the factors of the cultural dimensions. In the 80s, the Dutch management researcher, Greet Hofstede, who is very well known, first published the result of his study of more than 100,000 employees of multinational IBM in 40 countries between 67 and 73. He was challenging to find value dimensions towards cultural differences. Hofstede classified 4 dimensions as poverty stance, individualism, collectivism, masculinity, femininity, and uncertainty avoidance as national culture values. He identified the 5th dimension as long short-term orientation by the help of Bond in 1984. The second survey, which helps to develop the 5th dimension, was called Chinese Value Survey, which was used to identify Asian typical culture. Several significant studies were done to test the model as well as find the influence of each cultural dimensions on people's behavior in general and tourist behavior in specific. So in short, Hofstede is born in Netherlands, founded and managed a personal research department of IBM in Europe, where he started his research about culture dimensions. And the most important thing is he's most cited living non-American in the field of management in the US Social Science Citation Index. So his research becomes very valuable in different field of research and studies. Now let's go to a very STEM and fundamental question, that what is culture? The programming of the human mind by which one group of people distinguishes itself from another group, the set of shared beliefs, values, and norms that distinguish one group of people from another. Now, Hofstede comes up with the idea of 4 main domain of dimensions or domain of culture that is considered as poverty stance, uncertainty avoidance, individualism and collectivism, masculinity and femininity, which Dr. particularly mentioned about the femininity and masculinity in her university and her research. Now, I'm going to explain very briefly about each of these categories. Power distance, as you can see in the graph, I compared just randomly 3 countries, Denmark, Japan, and Malaysia. You can see Malaysia has the highest range of power distance, Japan, and Denmark at the lowest. So what is power distance? This dimension deals with the fact that all individuals in societies are not equal. It expresses the attitude of culture toward these inequalities among us. Power distance is defined as the extent to which the less powerful member of institutions and organizations with a country expect and accept that power is distributed unequally. So in some countries with a high power distance, they believe that people are not equal and different levels of power distribution is a fact in those countries. Now, I'm going to give a short explanation about each of these 2 main major under subcategories of low power distance. In countries with low power distance, like as you here you see Denmark, subordinates expect to be consulted. Bosses are accessible. Initiative is expected. Inequalities should be minimized. Privilege and status symbols are discouraged. Now, in countries with high power distance, subordinates expect to be told what to do. Privilege and status are normal, superiors inaccessible, and inequalities are accepted. As you can see in the picture currently, I mean, historically and currently, we have like about 9-10 kings in Thailand, and each one have their own pyramid of power, like Datuk, Datin, and so on. Like in before in colonialism, we had this power pyramid in Europe, like for the Baroque and Duchess and those titles, that it shows the pyramid of power in a society. So, by the way, I have to have a disclaimer that none of these four main factors are privileged by any kind or any sort of superiority, or in a simple form, there is no good and bad in all those factors. It's just differentiation between the cultures, and we're comparing these differentiations. There is no better or worse or nothing as such. The next factor would be uncertainty avoidance. As you see in the graph, Denmark, Japan, Russia, and Sweden are again compared here. So what is uncertainty avoidance? The range of avoidance of uncertainty and ambiguity among people is related to this part of national culture value. People with high uncertainty avoidance culture care about rules, and they don't like to take risk, while people with low uncertainty avoidance culture more willingly accept risks. They feel that there should be as few rules as possible, and they are open to have different behavior when it is needed. In general, uncertainty avoidance reflects the degree of comfort members of a culture feel in unfamiliar or unstructured situation, and the extent to which a society tries to control the uncontrollable. So to make it a little bit more clear, in low uncertainty avoidance countries, people are more relaxed at the environment or relaxed environment, minimal stress, initiative are encouraged, relatively few rules and regulations, pragmatic, tolerance of deviant, innovation ideas. People are easy to other backgrounds. In countries with high uncertainty avoidance, need for rules and regulations, resistance to change, low tolerance of deviant, innovative ideas, and tight with people from other backgrounds, higher stress levels at work. Now, just to give a short sample or example of this case of uncertainty avoidance, if you remember in the case of COVID-19, in some Western countries, particularly in USA, some group of peoples were questioning the rules and regulations for vaccination, wearing mask, and the safety measurements for treating the pandemic. While in Asian countries or in some countries with low uncertainty, with high uncertainty avoidance, people were exactly following their regulations. And still in Thailand, I can see people are wearing, or a large group of people are still wearing masks and applying the same regulations since the COVID time. The next factor would be individualism and collectivism. In the graph, you can see China, Germany, and Thailand in case of individualism. In individualist culture, people go for their own purpose, while in collectivist culture, group interest is important for each member. Since individualists use I, collectivists use we in their natural manner. In this regard, people in collectivist culture expect the group member to support them and be loyal to the group. Family is important for the collectivist, while in the individualist culture, self-success is appreciated. A short gesture of the definitions would be individualism are people with identities based on the individual. Task prevails over relationship. Work relationship model would be mutual advantage. Self-respect is important, and self-management or micromanagement is encouraged. Whereas in collectivist cultures, you would see identity is based on social group, relationship prevails over task, work relationship is based on family model, maintenance of social harmony, management of group, not individuals. Another example for individualism and collectivism would be probably an experience that you observe when you travel. You can see the country with the collectivism factors, like tourists from China usually travel in groups and they're not taking any risk, or they're not coming to fashion their own trip. But people from individualism background culture, they prefer to explore and individually have their own itinerary of traveling. Next factor, which already was sharing some borders with other researchers for today's event, is masculinity and femininity. I compared 3 countries, Italy, Japan, and Saudi Arabia, which have very strong masculine figures in the country. And the explanation would be very interesting. The main value of masculine culture are achievement and success, while feminine culture cares for others and quality of life. In masculine culture, people like to be the winner and they care about success. They teach their children to admire the strong. On the other hand, in feminine culture, trying to be the winner is negative, and it's not really important to show success. Children learn sympathy for the underdog in this culture, according to the Reza. Now, a little bit more explanation for the masculine society. For example, in Japan, they are very ambitious and assertive. Competition and performance is important. They live to work. Distinct gender roles are very prominent. Managers are expected to be assertive. Whereas in feminine cultures, what is important? The quality of life issues are important. Equality and solidarity are important. Work to live is important. Overlapping gender roles, managers often strive for consistency. Now, how we can connect these cultural factors with STEM? When it comes to power distance and we want to develop or foster this curricular models of STEM education, or in this case, STEAM education, because the art also is somehow involved in designing. The power distance, when it comes to the power distance, you need to know that the culture between different countries are highly different. In countries with low uncertainty avoidance, the students are individually eager to explore, to win or fail, to discover by themselves, because they are culturally encouraged to do so. But in high uncertainty avoidance, the students are not completely opposite, but they are in a different side of this dimension. They are, based on their culture, very deviate to what the authority, so it can be the manager or the teacher, to give them the permission or give them the guidance to follow the rules and regulations, so they are not going to make any problem. And this is very tangible for me personally, because I've lived, worked, and taught in different countries. I've met different people with different nationalities and backgrounds. Sometimes it was very surprising for me to see the students in the classroom. They're just sitting and looking while you already told the students what to do, but they still are on demand of more explanations. And that's not because their understanding or their IQ has any difference, or there is a major case of miscommunication. The thing is, the background of their culture tell them that to understand what's exactly supposed to be done, and then they will follow what the teacher has told them. It doesn't mean that the result would be different from Westerner students or Eastern students. The result could be equally good. The thing is that initiative process is very different for both of them. The next would be about individualism and collectivism. As I told before, in case of the tourists, the students can be there on their own and productive, whereas in collectivist cultures, students can get the same results, but when they are working together, because this is how they are raised and this is how they are taught to be. And in masculinity and femininity, also, in many cases, the students, they know that there is no superiority, but it's just a difference. And when the culture can explain to them that the difference can make them more vibrant and more fruitful in the result of the education and in the result of their learning process. So it's very important to develop the knowledge among the teachers, among the institutions, that learning a textbook of disciplines on STEM is not supposed to be intact, copied and transferred to another country by a different background of culture. It needs to be adopted. It needs to be fashioned with the host country culture, so it can be productive as we are expecting. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I pass the mic to the host.
Thank you so much for your presentation. You automatically included the arts in it, probably by virtue of the expertise that you have in design field. I will come back to you for another question in a few minutes. Let's first have Mr. James Machell, who is the STEM curriculum development manager in the office of the Vice-Chancellor, University of Bradford. Welcome, Mr. James. It'll be wonderful to hear, like everyone was talking about STEM in perspective of the, what is to be done in perspective of the industry role. But now we have you who actually develops the curriculum to include STEM. It'll be wonderful to have you with us. Welcome.
1 second whilst I share my screen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully you can see that. Can everybody see that and hear me? Okay. All right. Okay. So my name's Dr. James Machell. I'm part of our local activities partnership team within the University of Bradford. In particular, my role over the last 20 years here at the university has been looking at STEM education and how we can develop curriculums to help support people going into STEM subjects within the university. I think it's very interesting that you've been talking about STEAM, and I very much agree that it is much broader. When some of the initiatives I've worked on in the past have had a focus of particularly the at-risk subjects, so chemistry and physics, along with mathematics. But increasingly, I think this idea of broadening out the curriculum so that it's more dynamic is quite an interesting one. So perhaps I'll talk about that a little bit as we go through. So my main focus for today is to try and talk about the work we do with the local community, trying to help develop individuals into the university and into STEM subjects in general, through non-academic pathways as well. And I think I've got a slightly different approach from everybody else this morning, but hopefully it's complementary. Okay. Oh, okay. So just a little bit of background. Bradford University is a university in the north of England. We are about 80% of students from BME backgrounds, which is quite high compared to the national average. Our proportion of students from areas of low social economic backgrounds or multiple deprivation is pretty high, at 88%. And females in STEM, we probably have about 50, somewhere around the 55 mark. It fluctuates every so often, but we do quite well. The university itself has quite a large proportion of its studies delivering in STEM subjects across health, life sciences, engineering, as well as management, law, social sciences. And they're our main 4 faculties within the university. The district itself has a population just slightly over 500,000 people. It sits in West Yorkshire, which is the north of England, and we'd say the sort of West Yorkshire conurbation. So there are a number of cities in the local district if you go a little bit further out. We are a particularly young city, so about 22% of the district is under 16. That makes it one of the youngest parts of the UK. Therefore, we've got a large and growing population that might want to come into STEM subjects, and something that we'd want to be able to try and work with them in the local communities to try and attract them. Okay, so the rest of this talk, I'm going to try and focus on how we try to work with our local communities and local partnerships in order to develop STEM education. I will talk about a couple of case studies towards the end, examples of the work that we do, but generally I'm going to try and talk about how we've changed our ethos over the years and how we try and work with people. Really very much what I want to get across is that we try and work to a theory of change. There's been some fantastic examples of work and how people are working with people in other talks. We have a specific kind of way that we try and work, and hopefully I'll try and give you a flavour of that as we go on. So we work with this idea that there are 3 broad levels that we try and work at, and we are trying to move away from what we would call single interventions. So traditionally, there has been a lot of work in the UK working with schools where we would have one-off taster days or events where schools would come in for a limited period of time. They would experience an activity, a project, a research group's work that would try and widen their participation and show them the sort of various different schemes that they could get involved with and the various areas of STEM that they could develop to. We're trying to move away from that towards longer term projects, mainly because the impact of individual one-off events has been shown to be far less than people think it might be. That doesn't mean we don't have short bursts of interventions with schools, but it means that the majority of our work, what we're trying to do is have long-term sustained interventions. And we're doing this because really our pathway to get people into the STEM subjects is, yes, we want to inspire them. So at the younger ages, we are trying to work with them to make sure that they're inspired and that they get access to all the opportunities that might be out there. They can visualize and see what pathways might be available to them, what careers might be available to them. And we are particularly at those younger years focusing on enjoyment in those subjects so that they have a motivation to want to try and learn in them. And then as we move up, we continue that strand. We make sure there's still that aspiration and enjoyment in all the events that we do, but we move more to making sure that we can deliver learning outcomes and attainment for students that are taking part. What we like to say as a group is we want to open doors, but we want to keep those doors open. So an example of that we do in our work is with maths and English GCSEs. So we have a tutoring scheme where we work with local schools that's delivered by our students here at the university. But we're making sure that individuals attain their maths GCSE, which is our 16-year-old qualification in the UK. And we're making sure that they get that because that is a gateway subject. If they don't have their maths, if they don't have their English, that really is a stopping point for us there. So we make sure that we're doing that, but we make sure that that's part of a program, a wider program that's introducing aspiration, introducing enjoyment as well, and working with our young people here at the university so that they can be exposed to careers. We then move on and we've got this idea of progression and retention. So once they've decided that they're on a pathway towards the STEM subjects, generally in the UK, that means post 16, you have decided to take science-based subjects or maths-based subjects or arts-based subjects. Currently, there are several different systems, and I won't spend ages talking about all of the different curriculum pathways that there are, but a common one would be, say, A-levels, where they will choose 3 A-levels, and because of that reduction in subjects, it tends to mean at that level, at that 16-year-old level, that they're making that choice between art, as we've discussed, and sciences. That's not strictly true. You can have combinations that will do both, and people do, but it's very much at the moment that's how the UK education system is set up, that they have that choice at 16 years old. Then as they go through progression into the STEM subjects, there's quite a lot of research showing how people choose different subjects and where they go. Again, probably not enough time for me to talk about that this morning. But we have schemes within Bradford University to make sure that we retain people once they have set off on that pathway, and then to make sure that they go into the even higher levels. So in particular, we have a large project at the moment called Brad Attain, which is looking at minoritized Black and ethnic communities and making sure that they progress through PhDs onto further pathways through education to make sure that they're retained and keep going, and making sure that they get over those social barriers as well as the educational barriers that they might have, attainment gaps, that kind of thing, to make sure that they can progress into the STEM subjects and up to the highest levels. So we really are, as our theory of change, we're trying to make sure that we're working with these people at all these key points so that we can help them to develop in these subjects, so that they can have a love for these subjects from an early age, so they're not put off by these subjects as they progress through secondary school, which we've talked about women in STEM, and there's lots of work in the UK from the Institute of Physics of how girls can be put off. There's an article called "It's Different for Girls" by the IOP that shows how they can be put off the physics-based subjects and therefore not go into engineering. So we try and make sure that we know there are these target groups and how we can work with them to make sure that they really get the learning and the attainment and the enjoyment that they need through secondary school to be supported into those subjects and progress as far as they can and as far as they want to. So how do we go about doing that? So our activities are focused in several different areas. So when we're running an intervention, we will make sure that we are working in schools, in colleges, in community centres, and at the university, having a combination of venues so that it really is the best place for the individuals that we want to try and work with, our target group, our targeted activity can reach those people that we're trying to reach. There are different audiences that will come to the university as opposed to audiences that won't come or will work in their communities or work out of school hours or in school hours, to make sure that a similar kind of intervention, a similar kind of experience, exposure to the courses that we run and the STEM subjects that are out there that are available to these people. So that's very important for us. We might have activities that we think are good for promoting, as you can see from the picture here, engineering. So we do First Lego League, which is an international competition, and we run a regional final for it. We try and integrate with that national competition. We try and make sure that we're promoting that with our local schools and districts, and we're going in, we're promoting that and trying to get people into engineering by taking part in that. What we try and do is make sure as much as possible that our activities are curriculum based. This comes back to the idea that we're working with attainment and learning. So we don't shy away from what the schools are meant to be doing at their level. So in secondary schools, we have a national curriculum. We try and make sure that we align with those, and we align with the GCSE and level 3 qualifications that we have, so post-16 qualifications, so that we're helping students to achieve and to experience with things like the Gatsby benchmark, which is a careers pathway benchmark. Right, I've just had some flash up to say that my internet connection is not good. You can still hear me?
I can now hear you.
Okay.
I lost you for a few seconds, yeah.
Sorry about that. So we try and make sure that we're working with the schools so that it's integrated into the work that they do, so that it's not just a one-off experience, so that it's counting towards the qualifications that people are working for. But at the same time, we're trying to make sure that this is a fun experience that we're providing, and that we are providing something extra that the school might not be able to provide on their own. That could be contact with our undergraduates or postgraduates that are sort of one step further along the careers ladder for them. So it's an understandable progression for these students. That way they can work slightly as mentors, although they're in doing other work with them. They might be in tutoring GCSE works, but there are the unplanned conversations that they can have about how they're getting on, how they progressed, what they did when they were their age. And it's slightly more relatable if it's coming from our students as opposed to myself. I can remember, I get them now where they sort of look at me when I'm regaling them with stories about what it was like during my educational career. And it's not quite relatable to them, whereas we can have fantastic conversations between our undergraduates and students that have come from the schools that they're working with, that were there, say, 3 or 4 years ago, and can continue that and show that the pathway is possible and show that the progression is possible. And that way we can really work on them on the motivations that they might have to study in these subjects. And they can see somebody like them that is achieving and going forwards to the next step. So a key part of this is that we try and have long-term interventions. So we're really trying to make sure that our interventions, so for maths GCSE tutoring work, it's a 15-week program that we run on an annual basis with local schools. We have tutors going in every week. They work with the pupils at the schools for a 1-hour period in each subject that they work in. And that's a really great way for us to build relationships with both the students, the pupils at the school, the curriculum people, the teachers delivering, to really make sure that we can have an impact that's measurable for us to be able to see. As I've mentioned, we have lots of local partners, and really we're trying to make sure this is not about reinventing the wheel. This is about finding those activities out there that we can join in with so that we can provide meaningful activities for students. So something like Children's University, which is a national organisation in the UK, we help to run the district area, Bradford area of that, which is a primary school intervention to try and get pupils to visit more locations out of hours and to do more out of hours learning. So we can help coordinate that in the district. It links them to a national programme, and we can make sure we maximise our effect by doing that. The final thing I want to try and get across is that were called local activity partnerships, and there's two key parts to that. One is, or three key parts to it really. Local is kind of self-explanatory. Activity, really what we're about doing is actual activity on the ground, delivering, trying to make sure that there's things going on. And partnerships, we mean partnerships in the truest sense of the word, which is where we can find activities where it's of benefit for all the people that are taking part. And hopefully, as I go on to talk about tutoring, I'll be able to explain in a little bit more depth what we mean by that. Okay, so a couple of examples of work that we've done over the last few years, just to sort of try and give you some idea of what we have at Bradford. So first off, we have a STEM centre. We have a dedicated space for outreach activities, which has now been running for about 12 years, so 10 plus years. It is a dedicated lab space that's not a teaching space for our undergraduates, which means that every day of the week we can have a school group in. They can learn about science. We can do that in a hands-on way. We can have access to equipment and spaces that schools just wouldn't have in the same kind of setting. And we can have our students and staffs involved in them. So like I said, we've been doing that for over 10 years. When we first conceived of it, I think we were one of the first institutions in the UK to have a dedicated space to this. Particularly a building on its own, as you can see in the bottom left picture there. The STEM building is its own building. That's very useful for us in terms of safeguarding or making sure that we can run events external to the calendar that's going on within the rest of the university life. So we've got a particular space where we can come in and make sure that we can work with people. So tutoring. I wanted to talk about this because it's a nice example of how, in partnership, we're able to work with all the different partners, all the stakeholders who are involved in it, and they all get something out of it. So at first glance, you might think that the key people that are going to benefit from this are the pupils in the schools. They're going to get mentoring and support. They're going to get improved grades. So it's been a very successful project. On average, we get about a 1.5 grade lift for the students that have taken part. That's obviously of benefit to the schools. That means their general school population is doing better. But for us as a university, it means we've got better relationships with those schools and those people going on, because we're working with them long term. We're working with them on a key aspect of what they're trying to deliver. That gives us insight into the way that they're teaching and the way that students are having their curriculum delivered to us. That can help affect our way that we are teaching at a university level, because it helps us know how some of our students are coming in and how they're being taught before we get that. That helps us develop our programs. It helps us to do outreach, because we've got our students going in and talking about the work that they're involved with on a weekly basis. Just because you have nice, friendly conversations when you start a lesson, you don't dive straight in. They get to talk to them. For our students that are doing the delivery of it, so our tutors are generally university students. They are getting an improved university experience. They're getting work experience. They're getting a paid position within the university. So we pay our tutors. We think that's a very important aspect of the work that we do. They're not volunteers, because if we had just solely volunteers going in, that would possibly limit the diversity of those people that would be able to take part. Most of these young adults have to be somewhat self-supporting as they're going through university. And by paying them for this position, it means that we can give them training, we can have a professional relationship with them. But as students, they can develop their soft skills. So our undergraduate students and postgraduate students involved can develop their soft skills. They can develop how they talk with people, how they manage their time, how they have a professional manner. And it really means that they can come out as stronger graduates. Not only have they been exposed to the teaching profession, but there are many transferable skills that they might get whilst doing that. So it's really, in terms of a project, it's winning on all fronts for us. So we're helping the individuals, we're helping people progress into the STEM subjects because they're getting this gateway qualification and improvement in their maths. But at the same time, our own students that are helping to deliver it are improving their skills. The university and the schools are improving our relationships, and we're learning how to deliver these subjects by working together with each other. Final one, because I realise probably I'm just about to run out of time. We have a similar thing where we work in community. So instead of being in a school's position, we work in a community setting. This is kind of a little bit softer around the edges in terms of it's not a fixed tutoring program that we run, but we run educational activities in a community centre. We expose them to the university and university students so they can learn about different careers, pathways and different things. We work particularly with this idea of the whole community. So we're working with well-being of individuals to make sure that it's not just academic, but let's make sure we have a healthy lifestyle. Let's make sure we progress. Let's try and raise the area up. And then we're looking at careers at the same time. So we kind of think of this as a relationship, a triangle, whereas if we can grow all of these sectors together, then we can have more people that can progress into STEM subjects. If we just put effort into one area, if we just put effort into the education, but the well-being of individuals isn't looked at, then they won't be able to develop at the same rate. So the idea is that we can have growth in all these areas that are interfeeding with each other, that will have better progression into the STEM subjects as a whole. I'll skip over that one because I think I've probably just about run out of time. But that's another partnership that we have with the local council, again, delivering to young people. And by being part of a wider partnership, it means we can reach larger numbers and we can work with more schools. But the projects that we've got all interconnect so that we can maximise what we're trying to do in the area. So that's it from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, James. Actually, it was wonderful listening to each one of us, and I suddenly realized that, each one of us are doing something to, enhance the inclusivity and diversity in the STEM subjects. All of us are doing it. But the main question, I have so many questions after all these talks. The time won't permit, but one main question that is coming to my mind is, how can we measure the progress in advancing diversity and inclusion in STEM, and what will be the metrics that we will use for it? James, if you can answer this.
Okay, so we have very specific target areas that we work with. So, for example, one of the groups that we're trying to work with that's underrepresented at the university at the moment is white working class boys. So we can look at the number of white working class boys and how they're progressing. We work closely with the local council to see the numbers of NEETs. So that's not in employment, educational training. So we can track those as well. But we need to do more than just these figures. We have qualitative feedback from the individuals that we're working with to see whether to see on an individual level what difference we're making, because it's not, at the end of the day, it's yes, those figures are important. Yes, the qualitative differences we can make are important, but actually these are individuals. If there is one person that we have managed to make a difference to, that is important. And for some of the groups that we work with, they can be quite small groups. You see what I mean? So the impacts, we need to measure them on an individual basis rather than overall numbers. However, some of the groups we work with, they're in the hundreds, so we've got much better metrics to work with that. But we have in the UK what's called an access and participation plan that we put forward as a university, and then our interventions, our projects that we're trying to run, we can measure against those key performance measures, as well as the qualitative and quantitative feedback that we can get off the individuals taking part.
Right. The next question, one quick question that comes to my mind is, do you think that the funding agencies and the policymakers can support inclusion and diversity in STEM subjects? I think I will ask Dr. Aroonsri to answer this.
Okay, so for the government support, right? Yeah, I think for the government support, this can promote the women students to enter in the STEM and engineering also. And it's like in the university, we also have the scholarship for the student in like a underrepresented country also. Yes, I think it will be benefit.
Okay. Over to you, Dr. S.N. Sridhara. Can the funding agencies and policymakers make inclusion and diversity possible?
Yeah, it is possible. Basically, we have a lot of CSR fund as well as the social reform fund also nowadays. Actually, institutions are going through, especially the government organizations. Definitely, they can use it for this, and that will. I think it's a good suggestion.
Dr. Seyed, your views on this? Is he has he left
Sorry,
already? Yes, yes,
can you hear
Dr.
me?
Seyed.
Okay.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I guess that would be completely positive because not only the government, but the private sector would be also interested because the boundaries of practical, technical, engineering activities would be much closer to the industries. So they get much more interested. And of course, there would be a wider potential for providing funds for the universities and the institutions.
Right. So all these discussions and quick questions that we had, what I am thinking is that of course the private sector, the industrial sector should be interested in enhancing the diversity and inclusiveness in STEM. But what I feel is equally the government should also be doing this because governments will also get better workforce with that. It was wonderful, connecting with each one of you. And I wish this watch was stopped and I could ask more questions. And it'll be wonderful to be in touch with all of you. Over to you, Denise.
Thank you so much. And yeah, absolutely. I think I share those sentiments as well. I think that the opportunity to continue the discussions and collaborate, which of course is the purpose of the WTUN's overall goals, is that knowledge sharing exercise and the ability to connect with universities who share common challenges or have the same ambitions, but maybe sort of contextually are
Right,
very regionally specific or very locally specific to what their challenges are and how they approach
right,
them. But I think this has demonstrated that we've got a lot to learn from each other, which is great. And
right. Absolutely.
I would just really like to thank you again, Professor Agarwal, for stepping forward to
It
chair
was my
today's event.
pleasure.
And
It
of
was my
course, if
pleasure.
Thank you. And of course, our long-standing members and friends at the Hindustan Institute of Technology and Science for agreeing to be hosts. I'm just going to once again thank all of our speakers in turn. So starting in order of speaking. So Dr. S.N. Sridhara, the Vice-Chancellor of
Yeah.
Hindustan, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. And Aroonsri Nuchitprasittichai from Suranaree University for joining us from Thailand. I know it'll be getting quite late there now, so I hope you can relax into your evening and maybe have some dinner. And Dr. Anushree Dwivedi has already left us over there in Ireland. Then we had Mr. Seyed, Reza, Moosavi, Jafari from Thaksin University, also in Thailand, and also probably hoping to get some dinner now. And finally, finishing us off, my own time zone was James Machell from the University of Bradford. So, yes, I would just like to say, as members of the World Technology Universities Network, you each have an institutional sort of stake in the network, and you can hopefully in the coming years there may be opportunities for you to collaborate and explore opportunities with your colleagues, and that's in teaching and in learning and research in all its forms. So there is just a little bit of time left in our this year's WTUN exchange program, which is open to staff and PhD students from our member universities. And we would encourage you to have a look at that. The closing date is the 21st of March, although just be aware there might be some internal deadlines in your institutions. But we hope to see some exchanges, either sort of hard research, teaching and learning best practices, or other collaborative opportunities that can come out of collaborating with WTUN institutions. And if I may just take up a couple more minutes of your time just to say we will have our third and final World Engineering Day, WTUN for World Engineering Day week celebrations tomorrow, which is going to finish with a University of Bradford hosted event looking at, taking it into more scientific topics once more, the water, energy, health, environment nexus. And we have a packed agenda of 9 speakers who are going to do some very short presentations focusing on that. And that is at 11 until 1 p.m. GMT on Thursday. So please do encourage colleagues to sign up for that. And you can always keep in touch with us via our website and our email address as well. But thank you once again for your fascinating insights into your own practices and initiatives happening on your campuses. Appreciate your time, and I hope to work with you again in the future. Unless anyone has any further questions from myself, I may bring the webinar to a close.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot for everyone, yes, for sparing this time, for this enlightening discussion. It was really wonderful talking to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Yep. Have a good day. Bye-bye.